Well, hello, Barry. It is wonderful for you joining us today, and thank you for agreeing to be a part of our Thursday's Thought for Today. Would you be able to share with people how we know each other and a little bit about where you work yourself?
Yes, of course. Hi, Lindsay. Great to see you, and hello, everybody. Lindsay and I have known each other for a few years because we trained together to be ministers of the Church of Scotland. Well, we had this strange thing where we knew each other online for a couple of years before we actually met, because we both trained at Highland Theological College in Dingwall. Lindsay was living, I think, on the outskirts of Glasgow at that point. I was in the borders. So we saw each other on an almost daily basis for a while on virtual lectures, but the first time we actually met was at our graduation. But it felt like we actually knew each other pretty well. So we've been on a similar ministry journey, and I'm now minister of St Mark's Church in Stirling. It's in an area of Stirling known as Raploch, so it's a Church of Scotland priority area church, and I've been here for about 18 months now.
So Barry, you're a minister like myself. What do you think have been the opportunities for the church in this unusual time? So what good has come out of the pandemic?
I think there's a lot of good come out. I think if you speak to any minister, they'll talk about the opportunities that lockdown has brought. We've been going through a period of change as a church, as many organisations have over the last few years, but change doesn't always happen as quickly in the Church of Scotland as it could do, and as many of us would like it to. And one of the good things, I suppose, about being in lockdown is that change has had to happen very quickly. So being able to embrace the use of technology, and I probably feel fairly blessed because I'm reasonably at home using it and sitting in front of a camera and so on, has enabled certainly us, and I'm sure most churches, to reach an awful lot of new people. It's been really heartening to see people from within my parish who I didn't previously know, or who I knew but not through the church, joining us online every week, or in some cases every day, because I broadcast actually 5 days a week: Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and then a full service on a Sunday. And to be able to make contact with so many new people has been a wonderful opportunity. So I certainly think that's been one great opportunity that I think many churches have taken. And I think also just exploring new ways of doing everything. So not just worship, but the way we interact with people pastorally. I'm very blessed to have a full-time deacon who works with us, who takes on most of the pastoral work. And Jean probably actually speaks to many of our folk more often now than she used to, because she's able to plan her time, and she's actually been isolating as well. So she's been keeping in touch with people either on the phone or digitally, including actually helping folk who can't make it, obviously, nobody can make it to church, but who can't join us online, still participating, for example, in communion. I know there are various views about online communion. We've celebrated it twice, and I found it actually quite a spiritual, quite a moving event, and especially to know that people who can't be online are actually joining us from home by following the printed words at home which have been sent to them, and participating. So I think from that point of view, it's challenged us to come up very quickly with new ways of doing things. And if things don't work, try something new. But I think it's been great to build up new engagement with new folk, and to keep that going as well.
I think we're finding the same, Barry. I wonder, a lot of people may have had a relationship with God in the past, but have walked away from church for one reason or another. For some people, It's just that life gets in the way. They get married, they have children, they get busy, and there isn't space to church on a Sunday, or that time is then taken up by something else. And I think what this online worship opportunity has given people is a chance to reconnect again with God. And I think it's been such a blessing and such a joy for so many communities. And here in Dundonald, we're exactly the same. We're really enjoying getting to know different people in our community who have made contact with us online at this time. So, Barry, how has God blessed or directed your church and ministry at this time?
I think first and foremost, we feel blessed because we're actually in a part of the country where coronavirus has been incredibly low. I think the Forth Valley area has not been anywhere near as hard hit as some other parts of the country, and we're very grateful for that. So although we've actually lost a couple of members during this period, it wasn't to coronavirus. So first and foremost, I'm very grateful that I, Jean, our deacon, and others have remained fit and healthy, so we've been able to carry on our ministry. I think the main way I would say that God has blessed us is in the partnerships that we've been able to forge. We were very blessed here anyway, working in the type of parish where I do, working very closely with groups such as social services, the schools, local voluntary organisations, charities, and so on. But actually, so many new doors have been opened during lockdown, and they're doors that we want to make sure we keep open. So an example of that is we've been giving out Sainsbury's gift cards to people in need, which we were able to fund through a couple of grants we were given. And it occurred to us to get in touch with Forth Housing Association, who are the association that provide part-own housing in the area. And they were able to point us in the direction of families that they were aware of who might be suffering, who may not have been on our radar. Likewise, the schools were happy to do that, other local groups as well. So I think one way we've been hugely blessed has been increasing the number of third-party groups that we work with. And you'll probably know this, Lindsay, and I hope you don't mind me mentioning it, but following a Zoom chat I had a few weeks ago with our MSP, he very kindly mentioned us in Holyrood. He put it into the context of talking about the great things that faith groups across Scotland have been doing, but recognised our work in particular and the partnerships that we have, and he mentioned some of the groups that we partner with. So I suppose with the going by the old adage, there's no such thing as bad publicity. It doesn't do any harm. And I suppose a similar one I would mention where I felt incredibly blessed has been the relationship with the local newspaper, the Stirling Observer. And twice during lockdown, including the Good Friday edition back in, seems like a long time ago now, back in Easter week, they asked me to write a column for the paper. So one week they printed my sermon in full, which you wouldn't normally get at all in a paper. And the second week they asked if I would write an Easter message, which went into the paper. It was about maybe half a sheet. So what a wonderful opportunity, because I'm quite sure normally if we rang up a local paper and said, do you want to print my sermon? I suspect they'd say, but very politely, thanks, but we've got other things to print.
I know, I think the opportunities we've all been given in this time has been wonderful, and yeah, you just grab them with both hands. And the one thing I've done that I've never done before is the Thought for Today on the local radio. So I'm now contributing to Irvine Beat FM. I think I found my cheesy radio station, not to everybody's taste, but I love it. I absolutely love cheesy old 80s songs, 90s songs. And getting the opportunity to get God's word out there, it's just wonderful. And like yourself, just working in partnership better with community groups, so that we're all looking at people in the same way. We're all looking at people and seeing where can we make a difference, where can we show people kindness and love and generosity in a time when people are really struggling.
I definitely think, I think you're right, Lindsay. I definitely think people have become more open to their spiritual side. I've had people who've said to me things like, maybe we're all just thinking a little bit more about our own mortality, about the kindness that we can show to others. But if you said to me at the beginning of all this, God will open many doors during this period, I might have been a wee bit suspicious about that. But actually, the doors that he's opened for communicating his message have just been amazing, I think. I think our challenge for you, me, Lindsay, and everybody else is to keep those doors open afterwards.
Absolutely. And Barry, what we were really disappointed about was you were supposed to be our guest speaker at a pie, a pint and a parable in the Ockens Bar this month, and you're not able to come. But we are very much looking forward to when our local bar and restaurant is open again to hopefully restart a pie, a pint and a parable and have you come to Dundonald and speak to us in person at some point, because you are a man of many gifts and talents. And sometimes following you on Facebook is a little bit exhausting because you're always up to something crazy. And something that caught my eye that you were doing in lockdown, what to keep yourself physically and spiritually fit, was something called the Tour de Manse. Is that right?
Yes, absolutely.
What did
So
that
yes,
entail?
well, I can tell you about that. Well, yeah, I mean, I do love both running and cycling. Actually, normally running more than cycling. And I was due to run this year the Stirling Marathon, which I have run before, and I was going to run it for a wonderful organisation who are based in the parish and who actually use the church twice a week, called Home Start Stirling. And Home Start support struggling families, vulnerable families right across the whole Stirling area, and they twice a week they meet at the church. So I'd said to them, I'll run the Stirling Marathon to raise money for you, which they thought was great, and so did I. And then, of course, the marathon was cancelled, along with so many other sporting events. So during the first part of lockdown, when we couldn't really go out very much at all, I'd taken to cycling in the garage. I have a turbo trainer. It means the wheels go around, but obviously I don't move. And one of my friends actually came up with a very good thing. He said, "Oh, you could call every time you're on the bike, you could say it's the Tour de Manse, as in like the Tour de France, because of course ministers live in a manse." So that got me thinking. This was in April, and I thought, given that I can't do the marathon for Home Start, why don't I set myself a challenge during the month of May to cycle a certain distance on the turbo trainer? So my immediate thought was Tour de Manse. I'll see if I could cycle the length of the Tour de France. Looked it up, and it was a wee bit too long. It was over 3,000, well over 3,000 kilometers. So I thought, well, what if I do half the length of the Tour de France, which was 1,735 kilometers. So it's 55 kilometers a day on the turbo trainer. So it still was quite a lot. And it just seemed to take off. Local paper did a wee thing about it. Church of Scotland did. Because of where the manse is, it's on a fairly new estate. There's an awful lot of young families. And each day I would be on the bike with the garage door open, pedaling away furiously, with people stopping and chatting. Get some funny looks from kids who were on bikes with stabilizers, looking at me as if to say, "Why aren't you going anywhere? Why are you just going round and round?" And actually, it was great. I mean, I think you're right, Lindsay. Not just from my physical health, it did do an awful lot, but actually from my mental health as well, because it gave me a nice routine for the day. And the great thing is that actually, having set myself a target of raising £500 for Home Start, the last count was just over 1,700. So
Wow,
it's,
that's
yeah, I
amazing.
know that includes gift aid. I think it was about 1,500 and something, and then gift aid on top, which was just amazing, and actually will make a huge difference to an organisation like Home Start. So I'll be honest, it was a bit of fun as well, because I wore all the different coloured jerseys that you wear in the
Did
Tour
you?
de France and so
Brilliant.
on. So, but I must admit now that I'm actually able to go outside on the bike again, it's actually quite nice. But yeah, it became a bit of. I think it became a bit of a thing locally with people coming around to watch, and I ended up filming. I think it was the last 3 kilometers I did live on the church Facebook page. So a bit
I
of
love it.
fun, bit of keep fit, but also the serious side was really helping Home Start as well. So that was
Mhm.
great.
Well, Barry, I want you to save some of these amazing stories because I really want you to come and speak to us in
I'd love
person
to.
for a pie, a pint, and a parable when we can invite you into our village. But thank you so much for your time with us today, and thank you for your words of wisdom. So I'll say
Thank you,
goodbye.
Lindsay. Yes, nice to see you all. Bye.